All right. Yeah. Hey, that's not bad. All right. See you later. Hello everyone. I'm back at it again. And on this trip, I made what I think is going to be my last trip up north. The water is definitely colder up here. It's almost Halloween, and we have some unusually mild weather for New England. Now, my original plan was to drive south, but I looked at the traffic a few times and the traffic was just getting worse. So I ended up completely abandoning my first plan and just turning around and heading straight north in the opposite direction. And that's okay, except the stuff I brought really isn't set up for this pond. And I'm just trying to make it work. So first off, I'm going to be fishing with a Mini Max. I've got plenty of wind, actually a little too much wind. And it's mostly cloudy today. These are pretty good conditions for throwing a chatterbait, or a Mini Max chatterbait. But the water's a little colder than I'd like it. On the right day, they'll still hit it. But I've got clear water here. And I feel like sometimes in the clear water, the fish will slide deeper when the water temps drop. But I'm giving it a try anyway. It's a little hard to see because of the wind, but I'm on a weed flat. And I'm trying to pop that chatterbait through the weeds and come up with a reaction bite. And I'm constantly having to adjust the trolling motor because of the wind. It's kind of pushing me around in different directions. And if this worked, I would have stuck with it. Unfortunately, the fish had other plans today. And so what I ended up doing was tucking into kind of a back pocket for a while to get out of the wind and try some different baits. Now I can fish the chatterbait in the wind no problem, but for some other baits, the wind just is too much for boat positioning. And I just can't do two things at once. I can't keep fiddling with the trolling motor like I am there and fish some other baits. It just doesn't work well for me. If I was planning ahead a little bit better, I might have brought an anchor, and I could anchor in one spot and fish all kinds of baits in that spot. So I fished the Mini Max for a while. I couldn't get the fish to come up for it, so I had to slow down. I tried a few different baits, but what I'm fishing here is called a Bass Assassin Elite Shiner. It's very, very similar to a Kitech Easy Shiner. And I'm slow reeling that in. I let it cast out, hit the bottom, and slow reel it in. And I got a fish to actually bite it. It's pretty slow up until this point.
What's that? What's that? What's that? All right. All right. Hey, he's not bad. Nice and fat. All right.
So the Bass Assassin Elite Shiner, like I said, is a very similar bait to Kitech Easy Shiner. And the way I fish it is I cast it out. Usually I'm working deep to shallow, so I'm working uphill. And I give it a little pop to get out of the weeds or whatever's on the bottom. And then it's a slow roll in. And this is a great bait for colder water, which I have today. And it has just a little bit of a tail kick. Not too much. Not like a Swing Impact Fat by Kitech or a standard paddle tail swim bait. It's got just a little bit of a tail kick, and it's pretty subtle. And so in cold water, I find it does better. The difference between the Elite Shiner and the Easy Shiner is that the Bass Assassin Elite Shiner is a little bit more durable. So when I can, I'll fish the Bass Assassin, and it saves on going through plastics, because the Easy Shiner, it's really easy for perch and other panfish to just rip that tail right off, and then the bait's ruined. So I tend to save the Kitech version for really tough conditions, and if I can get away with it, I'll fish the Bass Assassin Elite Shiner. I got bumped on that last cast, and that was probably a little perch. It didn't quite get the bait, but the tail is still intact. And yeah, so that's key if you want to keep fishing these baits, because you'll burn through them fast if you, especially in warmer water. If you fish them around small fish, they'll just constantly rip the tails off of these baits. So I typically save them for winter use. The plastic hardens up a little bit in the winter in cold water too, and it's just a tiny bit more durable, but they're still pretty fragile baits. So I could do this in this this little cove here. I can I'm running up to another point to fish the paddle tail swim bait a little bit longer. But the problem is I can't fish the main lake without an anchor. I'll just get blown all over the place, and I won't be able to present the bait the way I want to. And this little pocket here has two main points. I got one fish off of one of the points, and I'm running up to fish the other one again. But I can only do that so many times, and it didn't seem like the fish were stacked in here at all. I tried, but it wasn't happening. So I had to come up with another plan, and that was to fish a river area which is attached to this lake.
What was that?
So here we are in the river. It's pretty shallow. There's a lot of weeds, and it's clear water.
What's that?
And I wasn't sure there'd even be fish in the river this time of year.
Extreme smallmouth?
But pretty soon,
All right.
I ended up hooking up with a little smallie. And I've got them on BFS gear.
Hold still.
So even the little fish are kind of fun. And what I was fishing with is a Yo-Zuri wake bait, but I'm fishing it as a crankbait. I don't think Yo-Zuri knows what they have here, but it's a really good crankbait. I don't really like it as a wake bait, but on the crank it actually hunts, which is rare for any crankbait, but it's especially rare for a cheap small crankbait like this. So I will definitely be getting more of these. I think if Yo-Zuri knew what they had, they would have given it a different name, because it really does hunt well, and it runs shallow, maybe a foot down, which is what I want to stay above the weeds in this shallow river. The other thing I noticed in this shallow river was there was a lot of bait, and they looked like herring to me. I didn't even know there was a lot of herring in this lake. So that's kind of a key thing. And next time that I come here, I'm going to bring some different herring type baits.
Man, that one's chasing a herring in here, I bet. Woo! That's a good one on the BFS. There. wasn't coming off. Unless he broke me off. Yeah. Hey, that's not bad. Alright. See you later. There he is. Little guy, little guy. Oh no, don't get me in that stuff. Oh boy. Come on out of there. Come on out of there. I'm gonna let you go. We'll deal with that in a sec. There he is. Little guy. Yeah. There he is. What's that? What's that? What's that? There he is. A little better. Oh, it came off. Oh. That's all right.
So once again, the BFS rod has saved my bacon, saved the trip. I can't count how many times that's happened this year. What I did a little differently this time is I fished that Yozuri wake bait that I'm using as a crankbait on BFS gear. Previously, it's only 1/4 of an ounce, and I fished it on spinning gear. But it actually fishes pretty well on the BFS rod. I wasn't sure how I would like it. But it fishes pretty well, and that's a Jenko double down BFS rod. Has a true moderate fast action. It seemed to handle crankbaits pretty well. I had that last fish pull off, but I think all the others I landed, that fish had me in the current and had me sideways. And I just think it was a lot of force, and I didn't have him very well hooked. So I can't really blame that on the rod. That was, either bad luck or my fault. That was about a 2 or 3 pound smallie. So this worked out pretty well. I don't know what this is now. This isn't really plan B. I'm down to plan C or plan D. And it really saved the day. A couple more casts. I caught a yellow perch. I lost the smallie, but I caught the perch. I don't know why. Sometimes that's just the way it goes. I ended up catching a couple perch in here. And if I had to guess, they're in here for the same reason as the smallmouth. They're chasing those herring. Probably whatever else the perch can grub up too. So that was pretty eye-opening for me. I thought I saw some herring last trip, and I wasn't too sure about it, because I don't think they're supposed to be in here. But I saw 3 or 4 solid schools of herring on this trip. And in the clear water, you can see them pretty clearly. They look a lot like herring to me. They are some kind of schooling bait fish that look a lot like herring, so I'm going to call them herring. And that changes things for me. I really like fishing herring lakes. It just seems like it increases the size of the fish. The fish are used to chasing bait. They tend to be a little bit more aggressive. I do pretty well on topwater and herring lakes because they're always looking up to blow up on herring. I can fish a fluke pretty well in herring lakes. So I'm just comfortable with it, and I have good luck on herring lakes, and I like fishing them. So that kind of boosts this lake up a notch in my mind. So I'll definitely be fishing here more next year. And I like the fact that I can tuck into the river if the conditions aren't quite right or the wind is a little bit too harsh, and I can have a fun day with BFS in the river. So that's a lot to like here. But it's getting a little bit late. I'm thinking about heading home, getting my way back to the ramp. So thank you all for watching. I'll put all the gear in the video description. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!